The movie opens on a cold, gray Thanksgiving day in a quiet Pennsylvania suburb. Keller Dover, Hugh Jackman, is driving with his teenage son, Ralph, through the woods. As they make their way back home, Keller leads Ralph in a prayer, revealing his deep-rooted faith and cautious nature. Cut to the Dover household, where Keller, his wife Grace, their daughter Anna, and the neighboring Birch family have gathered to celebrate Thanksgiving. Inside, the mood is warm and festive. The children, Anna Dover and Joy Birch, ask to go outside and play. In the background, Keller shares conversations with Franklin Birch, Terrence Howard, hinting at the close bond between the two families. Outside, the children run around the yard. They spot an old, rusty RV parked down the street. Joy dares Anna to approach it, but they both back away as it seems eerily out of place. Inside, the laughter and chatter continue, oblivious to the looming danger. The scene cuts to a stark moment of silence when Anna and Joy don't return. The parents' initial confusion quickly turns into panic as they realize the girls have disappeared, setting off a frantic search through the neighborhood. With the neighborhood in chaos, the police are alerted, and the search for Anna and Joy intensifies. The scene shifts to Detective Loki, Jake Gyllenhaal, as he is introduced at a small, dimly lit diner, revealing his quiet and intense demeanor. He is called in to handle the case, hinting at his reputation for solving difficult crimes. The investigation gains its first lead when a witness reports seeing a suspicious RV parked in the area. Loki locates the RV at a rest stop and cautiously approaches. Inside, he finds Alex Jones, Paul Dano, a timid and mentally impaired young man. Tension rises as Loki orders Alex out of the RV and arrests him, while Keller watches anxiously from a distance. The scene paints Alex as a possible suspect, building on the uncertainty and suspense. However, as the police search the RV, they find no evidence of the girls inside. During the interrogation, Alex seems confused, offering no concrete information. His childlike demeanor raises doubts about his involvement, and without sufficient proof, the police are forced to release him. Keller, seething with anger and frustration, confronts Alex outside the station. In a whisper, Alex mutters, "They didn't cry until I left them," leaving Keller even more disturbed. Keller's frustration boils over as the days pass with no new leads and the police's hands tied. He becomes increasingly restless, his faith in the system shattered. With the chilling words Alex muttered echoing in his mind, Keller decides to take matters into his own hands, believing that Alex holds the key to finding his daughter. In a tense, rain-soaked night, Keller stalks Alex's home, watching as his aunt, Holly Jones, takes him inside. When the coast is clear, Keller confronts Alex, forcefully abducting him. He drives Alex to an old, rundown building owned by his family. The scene is grim and claustrophobic, highlighting Keller's resolve and desperation. Inside, Keller binds Alex and locks him in a small bathroom, transforming the room into a makeshift cell. As Alex trembles, Keller, filled with rage and fear, interrogates him relentlessly, demanding to know where the girls are. Alex, his eyes filled with confusion and terror, denies any involvement, his childlike mannerisms hinting at innocence but also leaving just enough room for doubt. Keller's moral compass begins to blur as he resorts to more extreme measures, hoping to break Alex's silence. While Keller takes matters into his own hands, Detective Loki intensifies his official investigation. The scene opens in the dimly lit police station, where Loki meticulously reviews files of known sex offenders and previous abductions. His persistence and attention to detail are evident as he scans through records, piecing together any potential connections to the girl's disappearance. Loki decides to question Alex's aunt, Holly Jones, at her modest, cluttered home. She is calm and cooperative, explaining that Alex has the mental capacity of a child due to an accident in his youth. Loki listens but remains skeptical, making a mental note of the house's odd atmosphere and the peculiar collection of objects scattered around, foreshadowing later revelations. Loki's search then takes him into the dark underbelly of the town. He interviews local suspects and hunts for new leads, eventually finding himself at a dilapidated home of an isolated priest. Inside, he stumbles upon a horrifying discovery: a decomposing body tied to a chair, surrounded by religious symbols. Loki's face tightens with resolve as he notices a note with the words, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." The scene further hints at a larger, more sinister story at play, far beyond a simple kidnapping. Meanwhile, as Loki combs through the evidence, Keller's increasingly erratic behavior begins to raise suspicions. Loki pays a visit to Keller, probing him about his activities, but Keller evades, masking his inner turmoil with calculated calm. The tension mounts as Loki senses that something isn't right, his instincts driving him closer to the dark truth while Keller's secret torture of Alex continues in the shadows. The movie's tension intensifies as Detective Loki continues his search for the missing girls, while Keller plunges further into his own relentless pursuit. This scene shifts between Loki's methodical investigation and Keller's increasingly desperate actions, emphasizing the stark contrast between the law and vigilante justice. Loki follows a new lead when he learns of a man attempting to buy children's clothes at a store. He tracks the suspect to his home, where a heart-pounding chase ensues through the dark and rain-soaked streets. The suspect flees into the night, narrowly evading capture, leaving Loki frustrated but determined. He manages to recover some items from the man's house, including bizarre sketches of mazes that seem eerily connected to the case. Meanwhile, in the grim and claustrophobic basement of the abandoned building, Keller intensifies his brutal interrogation of Alex. The room is a stark reminder of Keller's moral decline, now resembling a torture chamber more than a place of questioning. Alex, bruised and barely coherent, continues to deny any knowledge of the girl's whereabouts, his cryptic responses fueling Keller's suspicion and rage. Keller is torn between doubt and belief, the weight of his actions slowly breaking him. Simultaneously, Loki pieces together fragments of clues, discovering links to old unsolved child abduction cases. His frustration grows as every lead seems to spiral into a dead end. A key moment occurs when Loki finds a photograph in one of the case files showing a maze pattern similar to the sketches recovered earlier, hinting at a deeper, more twisted conspiracy. As the investigation reaches a fever pitch, the movie delves into shocking twists that alter the course of the story. Detective Loki revisits leads that seemed unconnected, digging deeper into the lives of the suspects. One night, he gets a breakthrough when he is called to the hospital, where the suspect from the chase has been found drugged and unconscious after a suicide attempt. The suspect mumbles incoherently about solving the maze, pushing Loki to revisit the disturbing maze drawings and their possible significance. Meanwhile, Keller, consumed by guilt and rage, continues torturing Alex in the abandoned building. He grows increasingly paranoid, questioning his own moral boundaries. The grueling torture has taken a toll on both men. Alex is left battered and barely conscious, while Keller's obsession with finding his daughter has transformed him into a shadow of his former self. Despite everything, Alex maintains his innocence, but Keller is too far gone, driven by the need for answers. The tension heightens when Loki makes a startling connection between the maze patterns and past child abductions, all involving a peculiar religious cult. This lead directs him to re-examine Holly Jones, Alex's aunt. During a routine visit to her house, he notices subtle but alarming clues: a photograph of a young boy wearing clothing identical to the ones found at the suspect's house and the maze necklace she wears. Back at the building, Keller confronts Alex one final time, but he realizes Alex may not know where his daughter is after all. Despair sets in, and Keller breaks down, questioning everything he has done. Meanwhile, Loki revisits Holly's home with a new sense of urgency. In a dramatic and heart-pounding reveal, Holly confesses to the abductions, describing her twisted motive as a war against God, to create suffering in the world. Loki discovers that she has been holding Anna captive in a hidden room beneath the house. In a chaotic scramble, Loki manages to rescue Anna and rushes her to the hospital, barely saving her life. The scene ends with Keller missing, leaving his fate uncertain. Loki's job is done, but as he stands outside Holly's home, he hears a faint whistle coming from the yard, hinting that Keller may still be trapped and alive. The aftermath of the rescue is a mix of relief and lingering dread. Detective Loki rushes Anna to the hospital, where she is reunited with her family. Though traumatized and weak, Anna's rescue brings a glimmer of hope to the otherwise dark and harrowing tale. The camera lingers on the tearful reunion, capturing Keller's wife, Grace, as she breaks down in a mix of gratitude and sorrow. Loki, however, remains unsettled. The investigation has closed, the perpetrator unmasked as Holly Jones, and the case seems solved. But something continues to gnaw at him. Back at the police station, he sifts through the evidence one last time, contemplating the events that have unfolded. There's a subtle sense that despite the resolution, not everything is fully accounted for. The scene shifts to Holly's house, now cordoned off by the police. Loki, exhausted yet ever vigilant, inspects the property one last time. As the wind howls through the desolate yard, a faint sound catches his attention, a whistle, barely audible but distinct. Loki freezes, listening intently. The film cuts to an earlier shot of Keller, trapped in the underground pit where Holly had hidden him, signaling his attempt to call for help using a small metal whistle. Loki's face reveals a mix of shock and realization as the sound continues. The screen fades to black, leaving the story's ending deliberately ambiguous. Did Loki hear Keller's whistle, or was it just a trick of the wind? The film closes without answering this question, leaving viewers to ponder the unresolved fate of Keller. Prisoners 2013 is not just a thriller, it's a harrowing exploration of the depths of desperation and the blurred lines between right and wrong. Keller's actions, driven by the primal instinct to protect his child, force us to confront uncomfortable questions about justice and morality. The film masterfully keeps us in suspense, constantly shifting our perception of who is truly guilty or innocent. With its tense atmosphere, powerful performances, and shocking twists, Prisoners leaves us with a chilling reminder: how far would we go when faced with unimaginable loss? This haunting tale stays with you long after the credits roll, making it a must-watch for fans of intense psychological thrillers.